Welcome back to the channel, gang, and I hope you all are having a great day. So today we want to talk about Andrew Yang versus Big Pharma. So Andrew has this huge fight ahead of him dealing with these big pharmaceutical companies, the high cost of prescription drugs that are forcing some people, unfortunately, to have to choose between food and medicine. And of course, that's ridiculous, the high cost of pharmaceutical drugs. Um, Along the campaign trail, along the trail, Andrew Yang has brought out why it is so difficult to deal with these pharmaceutical companies, that the government is not allowed to negotiate prices on behalf of the American people. And that's allowing these drug companies to price gouge our eyes out. And the big machine they're part of with lobbyists, it makes it ever so much harder for this to occur. So part of Andrew Yang's plan is to actually basically become a competitor to these drug companies by, if it comes down to it, even basically seizing their licenses in a way to produce and manufacture drugs for the American people at an affordable rate. Now, Andrew is proposing that if it gets to the point where these companies just do not want to play ball, they don't want to be part of a competitive pricing situation with the rest of the world. In normal control of prices situations, to stop price gouging, if you compare it to what happens with our gasoline prices, right? You might go get gas at a certain location and you go down the street and there might be some differences in gas prices, but generally they are not too much difference. And when there is a huge gap, these distributors can be sued for price gouging, right? They can get in trouble with the government for charging too much for gasoline. So we don't have a such thing with pharmaceutical drugs, and it is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It is no different than that type of price gouging. It's allowing the pharmaceutical companies to rob us blind and put people in such terrible situations where they can't even afford their medications. They have to go without them and affect their health. So this is how Andrew plans to do it. He is going to go after them to have a more of a global competitive price to compete with the other countries around the world in their markets, right? Which makes sense. He says here on his site, we need to put pressure on these companies to get their prices under control and more in line with the rest of the world. Our prices are ridiculously higher than other countries. That's why a lot of people opt to purchase drugs from other countries instead of the United States. It just doesn't make any sense. And Andrew Yang is taking the fight and going in a practical way to deal with this. When we listen to Andrew Yang on the campaign trail and we listen to him talk about these problems and coming up with these practical solutions, it is amazing to hear him speak, and it just makes so much sense compared to other politicians who seem oblivious to these ideas, which are so obvious. And you have to question, are they really on our side? Why aren't they coming up with such great ideas? These people are highly intelligent. Many of them are Rhodes Scholars. Some of them are basically, have high levels of education, went to the best schools, and they can't come up with, better plans for the American people. Makes you wonder, is it that they can't or they won't? So something to think about, but this is part of Andrew's plan, and it sounds excellent. Now, I also would like to bring your attention to, I'm part of a Facebook group. I'm going to try to leave a link in the description, an Andrew Yang Facebook group that is now basically going to put together an event, which is a universal basic income march. Now, this will take place in October in San Francisco. and I wish I could be there. I absolutely do. If I could, I would. I hope they have one in my area. I will certainly be there. But if you are in California, if you are in the San Francisco area, I'm going to leave a link in the description. That's an event that you definitely want to be at if you're a Yang Gang supporter, because I think this is part of the time to where uh, it's time the American people show the government that universal basic income is something that we want, and doing outright demonstrations for it, I think it's going to be awesome. Heading into it with the Andrew Yang campaign, I think it's going to even help that message to sound ever more loudly and clearly to them that this is what the American people want and we're willing to fight for it. We also have to keep in mind that even after Andrew Yang wins the election, it's not going to be like they're just going to approve everything Andrew wants right away. They're going to try to fight him every step in the way. So we'll be through half the battle. But Congress, more than likely, the Republicans will fight Andrew Yang. So we're going to probably still have to demand universal basic income even after Andrew gets in. And all of us together can most certainly make this a reality. But I think practicing this early demonstrations to let your local Congress people know these are the type of policies we want implemented. This is what it's going to be like if you don't give us universal basic income. And start early like they're doing with these marches in San Francisco. I think it's going to ever so much put us even more so back on the right course. So something to think about. Going to get you that links to my Facebook group. Also, let me know if you all plan to create any marches or demonstrations to that effect. Would love to hear about it, or if you know about any. Feel free to leave it in the comment section so all of us can know, and if we're in the area, you can participate with well. But that's all I want to say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, take care.